must be a resounding no. No one gained anything from war. Everyone lost, and the cost in human sufferings is immeasurable. We cannot claim to be civilized when we kill and destroy in order to prove how right we are or how just and fair we are. How long more are we going to do this? We are already capable of destroying the whole world. Must we wait until we do this before we stop? Before we declare wars as illegal and the people who initiate wars as criminals? By that time, you must agree it would be too late. We must be stopped now. War must be stopped now. War must be regarded as a crime. The people, and especially their leaders, who resort to war in order to settle disputes between them and others, must be considered as criminals, must be made to face charges in a court of law and be punished appropriately. Until then, let us not claim that we are civilized. I say, criminalize war and punish the leaders and the people who resort to war in order to settle disputes with other countries. Stop these criminals. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Tun Dr Mahathir Mohamad for his talk. Now we should have 20 minutes of question and answer. And the way this is going to work is, please raise your hand, I'll pick you. And the topics to be addressed are maybe specifically to do with war. We're not going to discuss any of the topics. Thank you very much.
Both speakers have condemned the UK and the US and their leaders for instigating war, for killing civilians and causing destruction around the world. War and violence have been described as useless, not an option, and it has been said that war cannot achieve any goals. So I invite both speakers to condemn Hamas fighters who fire rockets into Israel, Hezbollah fighters who fire rockets into Israel, to condemn Iran for supplying weapons to these fighters, condemn the Taliban for killing and oppression in Afghanistan. Prove your sincerity and be equal. In short, I invite you to condemn Muslims for their part in the conflict of the 21st century.
Thank you. Well, we mentioned the UK and the US because these are highly visible examples. It does not mean that we accept wars by other people. Any war is a crime, whether they be perpetrated by Muslims or Jews or whoever. But if I were to list out all the people who went to war, perhaps I would take too much of your time. So these are examples. I'm against war by anybody. Anyway.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think it would have been also quite nice to hear the questioner condemn the Israeli atrocities as well at the beginning of this question. But my question to esteemed guest is, you described war against war and everything else, which I understand. But where do you draw the line from? Are you specifically wars, or are you talking about generally everyone?
Well, everybody has the right to defend himself against aggression. That is not what I mean by saying the people who fight wars are criminals. It is the aggressor nation, the people who try to resolve problems they have with other countries by going to war. These are the criminals. Obviously, if there is no aggression, there would be no need to defend. So the defenders are merely trying to protect themselves, and this is legitimate. But imagine a world where there are no aggressors. Then there will be no more need for defense. So then, of course, we would have achieved our objective. objective. But I don't see that happening in my lifetime, maybe in yours.
Just before you ask your question, could you also identify yourself? Yes.
A key flaw in that argument is being able to identify who is the aggressor and who is defending their nation. And I don't think that we will be able to stop war until someone is able to classify an aggressor as an aggressor or a defender as a defender. And in that case, who should be the one that classifies each as that?
I think the whole world should classify. Simply because if you are an aggressor, you fight the wars in other countries, not your own. If you go to another country, sometimes in the course of defending yourself, you may cross the border also. This is what happened when they crashed their planes into the World Trade Center. Of course, they could have destroyed the towers in their own countries, but that's not going to achieve the objective. So in order to defend themselves, they had to be rather positive. That means to say that they have to attack in order to defend. That's the best form of defense.
Moin Yassin from Global Vision 2000. Your Excellency, I agree with you, and I think most people in the world are in for war. However, instead of going for cliches, what is your comment on the fact of some thinkers who argue unless you address the banking system, governments require funding, finance, and that comes from the banking system and the financial usurious system. Aren't you not addressing the issue holistically, unless we address the reformation of the global banking system, at least to put it on the agenda?
Well, there are too many things happening in the world. It's hard to to take them all on at the same time. Perhaps if we can banish war, then we'll look at the banking system. Not too many people. There are some people who've been killed by the banking system. But I think war kills far more people than the banking system or the free trade system.
Okay. Question there back.
I'm Edwin. Dr. Mohamad, can I clarify that you will say that the Al-Qaeda terrorists who killed innocent Americans were doing so in self-defense? And how will you classify that? And my second question would be, how do you reconcile your current statements about war and the nature of war with your role as the Prime Minister of Malaysia, where you had to, in essence, spend on defense and modernize the Malaysian military?
Thank you. Well, there was no Al-Qaeda before, if I remember correctly. But when you take somebody's country from them, they will need to defend themselves. And if they don't have the fighter planes, the bombers, the rockets, the missiles, and the helicopters and all that, if you don't have that, and you still have to defend yourself, you are pushed to a corner. You have to use your fingernails perhaps to scratch at the enemy. And if you have to tie a bomb to your body, you do that. Not because they lie, it's very unpleasant, I haven't tried it myself. I'm sure you are not prepared to tie a bomb with nails and everything to your body and throw yourself up. And after that, you don't know what happened anyway. But when people are desperate, they do desperate things. Before there was no Al-Qaeda, no Osama bin Laden. They came up for a certain reason. It's their only way to defend themselves. As for Malaysia, yes, we spend money on defense. I regret it very much. I wish that we live in the days of bows and arrows. So that my expenditure on defense would be in buying some bows and arrows and the like.